Yo, YouTube, what's up? We're back. Another episode. Um, we have, you could say, a much more relaxed episode today compared to last month, which, of course, we had our first ever season finale, which, to be honest, went great. Um, we had some nice changes too. We assigned our first ever GM, which is, of course, Don Gemmell, the very popular Don Gemmell, which seems to be going over well in terms of what we can mix up with our segments. Um, we had some of our pretty much our best ever shows. We had 278 ratings. The 77 climax season finale also had four of our top five ever best matches on that card. So it's good to know. Obviously, we're making visible progress on all fronts. Which went really good. We obviously did test Synergy Network rather than WrestleWorld last month, which made sense that we would test it and try it out, but we will go back to WrestleWorld, I think, because basically the negative of being on Synergy is we make less money essentially on our broadcast revenue. The last month we did WrestleWorld, we made over 30k, and then on Synergy Network, we didn't even hit 10k. But because there's more coverage with Synergy Network, even though it's in less areas, our wrestlers are much more prone, you could say, to gain pop, which you'll see in a sec when we run over our popularity. Some of our guys went up, like a nonchalant 7, 8 popularity points, which wouldn't really happen on Wrestle World. But the weighing up the pros and the cons, right now we need money. We already have enough workers that are all over and are over enough to take us all the way to medium in size and not have to really worry about it. But we need to keep making money because I want to try round about the time we hit medium to make our own public broadcaster. And we need around 1 million if we want the coverage to be small, which would be one step up from WrestleWorld, which I think is a good middle ground, because if we want to make it medium, we need 3 million. And based on profits, which are going up, by the way, still on the consortium, we're not really on course to make 3 million anytime soon. But it's good to see all this is still going up. A nice little thing to note here is the merchandise sales jumped up by 17k, which is, of course, I mentioned last episode with Dawn being so popular. I wondered how much money she would make us, and she actually made a shit ton, if I'm being honest. She took out 17,000, which $11,000 went to us, which at this level with the money we're making, to make 11,000 on profit from one person who isn't even like a full blown wrestler is really good, I think. So there's so much upsides to having Dawn. She's really good on the mic. She's obviously really over in merchandise wise. She's making us a lot of money. And speaking of merchandise, we will also hit level 6 this month, probably in the next week, which will be even better for all these. I don't know how much they'll jump up per month, but if Dawn made us 17,000, well, 11, she took away a bunch. She gets like 40% or something. But if she's made us 11k this month, then arguably it's going to be even more next month, which is even better. Hitting level 6 on merchandise will be, it'll be really good. And obviously finances are looking good. Size wise, we're up to 47. We will obviously, like I said, we'll return to Wrestle World, so we'll keep the rise throughout the whole of America, which is good. Creative wise, there's actually nothing too much different. Abiswell still in the top spot. Mutant and Architect jump back in, with Jimmy Chipolata obviously being gone now. We do actually have some new. I re-rendered one or two people. The first being Dudok. I gave him a new render, and I also gave Stevie Stanley a new one, who isn't on this list, but we'll maybe see him in a sec. But there isn't really too much changes here. One thing to really note though is this month I'm going to try and focus, as you can see here, the gimmicks. I'm going to try and clean up the momentum of some of our workers and the gimmicks who have poor ratings. I'm going to try and do a little bit of TLC and fix it up a little bit, more focus on that this month. It is maybe a little bit gamey, the fact that I'm changing their gimmicks but they're staying the same. It's just in order to get a better rating, but you could see it as like, it's essentially, it's like I'm basically doing a massive tweak rather than a small one. Just look at it that way, so it doesn't ruin the immersion. Doesn't matter, you know, who cares? But yeah, worker pop, we can take a quick peek at some of these people. So Ant-Man, of course, is the new Great Lakes champion, the 7th ever holder of the belt, and he took a nice 7. He jumped up 7 points just from his run in towards the title, and then obviously winning it, which was really good. Who else of like real note anyway? Davis jumped up to a 55 too. He went up 3 points, and he wasn't even really in action. Ernest is up to 56 now. He went up 2 points. So yeah, as you can obviously tell, considering how much it was sort of stalemated around 52, 53, how much slower it was, being on the Synergy network, if we stayed on it, would really help the guys. Giant Brody, actually, he went up 8 points after the first week last month, I noticed. Which is obviously huge. We're trying to get him more over. Texas, after his feud with Papa Swole, which of course they had their last man standing match, which Hangman won. He's jumped up to 53. So there's a lot. There is obviously a benefit to being on Synergy Network, but we just don't really need that benefit right now. Logan's also, he's 55. But yeah, it was nice to at least try it. I'm glad we at least tried it out, experimented with it. But as for going forward, I think we'll stick to Wrestle World until hopefully around medium size, when we have 1 million in the bank, which will be the first big investment I think we do. Belts wise, with the new changeover, Ant-Man, of course, Great Lakes champ, that goes up to 44. The tag team belts stay on 44. LA Star. 2 successful defenses so far, and then Ernest, he's up to 7. Still the first and only holder, the World Heavyweight Championship title. It's proving a real mission for anyone to take that belt off him. But yeah, I don't think there's too much more really to go over. Like I said, it'll be a much more straightforward episode this month. We're just, as you know, we're chugging away, trying to get into medium. This should, in theory, be the month we take 2 pop points after only doing 1 last month. So hopefully we hit 49 by the end of this month in the Great Lakes. But I'm not too sure. We do also have a new stable. I do need to get a render for it. We got the Doc, Stevie Stanley, the party animal, and Zippy, whose personality type is actually, he's also a party animal. These guys will fit in well together, I think. And of course we have, like I mentioned, as you can see here compared to mine, we gave Stevie a new, more sort of generic look, similar to Dr. Funk, and we also made them the new tag team. So we did have Verbal Slam with Zippy and Doc, but in terms of pulling in better ratings and better pushes, the Vibe Tribe, which of course is the name of the new stable, which will be more fun, comic relief type thing. Not necessarily, they won't really be taken as like a joke, like they won't really be jobbers. Well, not always, obviously, because the Doc's, he's on quite good form right now. He's like essentially the leader of the pack. But yeah, Stevie's really good. He's actually like not bad at all. 71 star quality, 75 charisma. Could talk on the mic too if you needed it. 63 brawling, 68 aerial, 72 flashiness, psychology, 68, not horrible. He's got all the fundamentals, like he's not bad at all. And he also has the trait for tag team specialist, so if him and Doc eventually hit 15 experience, they'll get a positive boost to their matches. So all positives there. Apart from that though, there's not really too much more I can think of that I needed to mention. Like I said, this month it'll be gimmicks and momentum we'll be trying to fix, which you guys have a little look. There's not actually, it's not horrible, if I'm being honest. Add the quitter lower is not perception, sorry. Nope. status. Yep. Yeah, so there is a few. Most are inadequate. We don't really care about Borkin. He's obviously here. I'm trying to hopefully get him booked in with his Alliance title. We'll see. But yeah, we got like Brett, who's set to change. He's poor. We got like Hot Properties here, who's not doing great. The champion Ernest, obviously, we don't really want him on adequate, so going to try to fix that. Grim and Graham didn't get great ratings. Then one half of the tag team champs and Calder Tag. Hopefully we can fix a bunch of these. Regular Joe we don't care too much about. Obviously Sandman, he's set to change, and Zap didn't get a very good rating, but he's too soon for us to change him, of course. At the minute, going forward with the whole fiasco of last episode, we're not giving him a manager right now. Rather than trying to change Anna, because she obviously just debuted and then I realised she was a heel, she should have been a face. We're just going to leave her as a heel, and she can sort of be the early stage heel manager if we have any heels assigned to a manager. But now we obviously have a manager available, it's going to be more of an incentive for me to look at the heels on the roster and potentially see who could maybe do with benefiting from having Anna Garcia by their side. But yeah, we're pretty much just steamrolling ahead, obviously focusing gimmicks and momentum, and we're just trying to make that money to get to 1 million so we can do that investment for a small public broadcaster throughout America. So yeah, we'll just need to chug on. We do have quite a lot of people on the roster, but I don't think, unless we somehow have another big wave of people join, like we did with ACPW, that would be the only way I would look at maybe releasing people. And if not, then it probably won't happen until we hit medium, which will probably be around this time next year. Actually, not be a bit. If we keep doing 1 2 1 2 1 pop gains each month, it'll be a little bit sooner than that. But yeah, let's forward on here and get cracking with the first show. We do have, actually, speaking of shows, it's Brawl for All this month, but Brawl for All at the minute anyway isn't really themed around a specific match type or storyline basis. It's just a very one of the few very like generic sort of annual events that we have, so nothing really to mention there. Okay, well, very weirdly, after just mentioning about the roster won't change unless we have another surge of people join, I just got the notification that 21CW, the biggest British company and European, I guess if you want to take the whole EU into account, they've actually just shut down, which isn't really a surprise because I believe last time I checked off camera, they were about $10 million in debt, but we can't even like look. They're like totally just gone, which means there is a lot of previously exclusive written dealed workers that are unemployed, which means if they're unemployed, they're much more likely to agree to work in the States. So I need to do a little bit of work off camera to see if there's potentially any that we can maybe bring in and convince to come and work for us under just, the basic written handshake deal, which shouldn't be too hard to do if they agree to work in America, because yeah, they'll be unemployed and they won't really have pop in America, most of them. But yeah, that's crazy. I wonder how the game world will evolve, especially in the UK now. Crazy. I think they were like 8th or 9th in the world. Pretty huge size. Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, they're gone, I guess. We'll see if we maybe have some familiar 21CW workers in the promotion in the near future. That would be quite cool. Alright, we're jumping straight in to the action this episode, no messing around. We're starting off very strong. The GM, Dawn, is basically giving an overview of tonight's show. Obviously she's came into the promotion and essentially promised, or not really promised, but just asserted herself as going to mix things up. Much more variety on the cards. And she says tonight the number one contender triple threat match for the next Great Lakes Champion Challenger will be in action. And also the tag team matchup for the next number one contender also in action tonight. And she also announces that PWW, for the first time, will see our Alliance belt in action. The UWN Championship, and the champion himself is here tonight. And not only is he here tonight, it's in action next. Oh my god, I'm forgetting how to speak English right now. But anyway, in front of 1,600 people, great stuff. AA rated, massive. Dawn, when in doubt, Dawn will pull you out. That sounds weird. Anyway, let's go. Here we go. The first time in a very long time, if really ever, since we've introduced annual events, that we have a title on the card, which we'll see more of these, the Alliance titles probably, now that I've finally figured out how to actually book them. And it's the champ himself from Mexico, Borican Love Machine Jr. He beats Miller Ford by pinfall with a love gun, making defence number 3 of his UNW Championship title. I was very tempted to just give this belt to someone I wanted, but just for the sense of it not always being obvious that we're going to take the belt or it's going to be a successful defence, it felt a little bit wrong to just book him on the show and just take the belt off him when he's the first ever UWN championship holder. Actually does pretty good considering Borican isn't popular at all in America. Miller pretty much pulls us to a 50 rated, gets the crowd hotter, which bounces off really well with Don's opening segment to start the show hot, as we then move into a backstage interview 64 from the youngster Tommy Cornell Jr. As Don mentioned, triple threat for the Great Lakes Championship tonight. Tommy Cornell Jr. is in the match. It's a huge opportunity for him, and he's being asked about it, how he feels. He's obviously nervous. He's got, as much as he knows, he's got a lot to learn. Any of these, he's not stupid, and he knows when these opportunities come up, he's got to grab them with both hands. If he's going to be even half the wrestler that his dad was, then, he's got a long way to go. This is actually really good. Not that I'm surprised. Tommy's, we've all seen his stats. The guy, he's a freak, even at 18 years old. Goes off script well though, which is good to know. He doesn't need the script. I think actually most of tonight's segments are not scripted. So yeah, good start to the show so far. As we move into a rather routine one, it's not quite a squash match. It's not a domination. Kamikaze for parts of the match holds his own, but it does only take 7.5 minutes till eventually Giant Brody gets the upper hand and wiggles him down, the very elusive high-flying Kamikaze, and he gets the job done. Giant Brody wins, single-handed chokeslam. Ratings around 50 to be expected. 56 segment rating though, which is good. Good win for Brody, boosting him up. Then we have the new. 2 of the 3 members of the new Vibe Tribe stable. It's more of like a gang, you could say, but it is our second ever stable, which is going to be more featured around the lower to mid card, which might help with angles and storylines and stuff. Pulls in a 71. Also one of the new renders made for Doc. He is labelled in game as being ripped, I believe, or muscular, because we've asked him to get in better shape, and he's about 6'5". But in my head, I always imagine him as sort of a bit slimmer. I really like the render, how it's turned out, and obviously the one we did for Stevie as well. But they're backstage. a bit of comic relief, and it's actually right before the new and improved Verbal Slam are in action, and they're not only in action, they've somehow wiggled their way into the number one contender for the tag team championships. Keeping in mind with, Dawn, the new GM, she wants to make a lot of changes, give a lot of new opportunities to people, and this is maybe one of those first little breadcrumbs we're seeing of those changes. Unfortunately, though, they are defeated by DeMarcus and Gray when Nate DeMarcus pinned Dr. Funkenstein with a rocket launcher. Pretty decent ratings for DeMarcus and Gray. Stevie and the dog also not too bad, pulling in a 61. DeMarcus and Gray are quite good. We just need to get them a little bit more over pop wise to give them that extra momentum boost. Because in the ring they can do it. They are very good and can potentially be very dangerous. And they've marked themselves with their first ever title opportunity, going up against the best in the business. So the first title match is officially locked in for Brawl for All. DeMarcus and Gray will be challenging LA Stars for the titles. Good rating though. And speaking of, after his very huge title, triple threat match last week at the season finale, Mutant is back in action. He beat Davis Wayne Newton and I can't remember who else in like a star-studded triple threat match, and he's keeping that momentum going forward with a win over regular Joe. 61 rating, 61 in-ring performance from Mutant. And then after the match, of course, with all the new opportunities being given out to people, Mutant, he's not done after being regular Joe, and he gets on the mic and is essentially not really negatively calling out the GM, but he's been in this company since day one, and he's always been overlooked by the people who keep getting brought into the company, but where's his chance? He deserves it at this point, which can't really be denied. He is looked at as a face. He's cheered on by the fans, so they're in agreement, you deserve it and all that good stuff, because he does. Mutant does. Very good rating too here, and he's basically being very vocal and letting it be known. He wants a shot. He doesn't even care what belt it is. He just deserves a shot. Good rating. And speaking of course, we now know the tag team champs' next opponents. They are still in action tonight, teaming up with the red hot form Zap Peverson to go up against the also red hot in form Marco Gonzalez, and he teams up with Young and Wasted. Obviously, huge ratings with LA Stars involved. And Superb Wrestling, decent reaction is Zap Peverson, who gets the win, pinning Brett Kyle with a press power slam. Looking at the ratings too, it's looking good. Nothing really too sort of crazy to note, but we do have the first note here for gimmick changes. As you know, I believe Ernest, Brett, and Sandman Winks are currently dialed in to get new gimmicks, which is essentially the same gimmick, but I'm hoping to get better than adequate, just to give them that extra boost. But yeah, ratings wise, it's looking good. Zap up to 54, Marco just below 60, into the 70s for LA Stars. Even with LA Star 2 off his game, he got the highest rated out of everyone. Highest rated performance. Okay, so Brett starts changing. He's let's see what he gets. His Teen Idol gimmick is poor right now, so that's pretty surely it won't get poor again. Oh no, his creative idea was a finish though, the gimmick idea. Oh, you know what? It's really annoying that it's failed, but it's actually better than it was before, so I shouldn't really complain. Large penalty to charisma. It's not good though. So it's obviously not good, but it's actually better than it was before, which I'm going to do a bit of copium. to make myself feel better and just say that this is a win, even though it's not really. But yeah, okay, slightly better, but not great. Good rated match though, very, very good, 75. And then we have the new man. Look at that big smile, and rightly so. New storyline, as we have a new champion from the season finale, the climax. Ant-Man dethroned Tennessee Williams, and he's out basically celebrating with the crowd. They're all giving him a huge cheer, huge pop as he comes out, and he's essentially just thanking them. You know, he is actually still fairly new to being in PWW, coming over from ACPW, and he's just, he's very thankful for all the opportunities so far. He's basically hit the ground running since day one. He's skyrocketed himself into being a major player and a major threat, and he's just really happy. He's been welcomed with open arms. Really good rating too, 74 for the champ himself. And then he sits ringside to watch the number one contender triple threat match to see who his first ever challenger will be. And in a great wrestling match, decent reaction from the crowd, Hudson Drake, of all people, defeat Ozzy and Tommy Cornell when Hudson pins Ozzy Goldstein with a Hudson Hawk. He essentially cheats to win, but we don't get the note for it here. I'm not sure why. Yeah, cheap finish. Hudson's one of those guys as well. Since he's been here, he's actually also one of the guys who came over from ACPW at the exact same time Ant-Man did. And he's a bit of a slime ball, a bit of a scumbag. Does anything to win as well. A bit like Marco, a bit like even Tennessee Williams at times. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. It'll help give us a nice boost in the run up to the title match. Give a nice boost to Hudson, as he's also someone who's good on the mic, decent star quality, good in ring. And he obviously, Don obviously thought he deserved a shot. Bit of a poor, an unlucky moment for Tommy. Obviously he's sort of still known as the underdog, being very young, but as you can imagine, the fans are warming up to him, so being the only babyface in the match, he would have been getting cheered on a lot. And it's not even through his own fault. He's not involved in the finish. He's outside the ring. But one for Hudson to mark himself for also his first ever chance at gold, just like it is for DeMarcus and Gray up against Ant-Man. That'll be an interesting one. Oh no. So this is actually our main event. Champs in action. And just like his the main event at the season finale failed, it took a bit of a dive. Our first main event of the month has also took a bit of a dive. 68 rating. Mainly because the creative finish was a fail. And I believe we're pretty much renegotiated California Love Machine to get rid of him. He is very good. In his popularity, he's very over, but we just don't need him. We just don't. There's no need for me to have him. I don't know if it's one match or 1 month, but he's leaving soon anyway. And what otherwise would have been a very good match, probably into the low to mid 70s. The champ gets the win, of course. Ernest is on fire. Only lost once clean to Logan since joining the company. We also want to change his gimmick because it's rated as adequate. Hopefully it doesn't fail. Oh my god, it does. 2 for 2. That's horrible. That's so bad. Oh, please don't get worse than adequate at least. Oh no, I fucked it. I mean, I guess that's the risks you run. That's really gutting because those gimmick ideas that I use, I don't use anything less than a safe bet or a near certainty. And out of the three I used, two of them were actually a near certainty. So either that gimmick or the one I gave to Bray earlier that also failed was a near certainty, and it's failed. And the fact that both failed is wild. The odds on that are so disgustingly low. So unlucky. He gets large boosted star quality though. But yeah, that's not fun. It's likely to rise over time, but my god, it's poor. That's so no. That's not good. But after the match, Ernest isn't done. He gets on the mic and starts running his mouth, essentially saying as much as he badmouthed Logan in the run up to his matchup with him, he'll be honest. You know, because he's humble. Ernest is humble. He's a humble guy. As much as he knows he could get the win over Logan last week, he does recognise Logan as being one of, if not the only threat in PWW, because everyone he's came up against, you know, the likes of Davis Wayne Newton, he's beat him twice. Logan Wolfsbane, his long time rival, across all the different American promotions he's worked in, he's beat Logan twice. You know? So he's also actually beaten California Love Machine. He's beaten Tiger Salvage Jr. So he's thinking, who's even left at this point? And then you already know the music hits. In many ways, could be considered Mr. PWW. The Architect comes out, and he's laughing, he's clapping, and he essentially comes down to the ring. And obviously with Ernest, you know, he's not going to turn down a challenge. And Giant Brody is nowhere to be seen at the beginning, and Architect starts running his mouth, saying he's already spoke to Don in the back. And you know, you want a challenge, Ernest. You want someone that maybe is going to push your buttons, push you to the limit, whatever. You know, you're looking at him. You know, you're looking at him right here. The two-time Great Lakes champ, the two-time PWW Wrestler of the Year. And he says, obviously, I know you're not too familiar with me, but don't worry. You'll get familiar real soon. Ernest, of course, when he won the belt at Belly and the Beast in the Fatal 4-Way Chamber match, Architect was part of the match, but ever since then, they haven't really butted heads or came into contact with each other until now. And there we have it. Architect next in line, and as the both of them are facing off in the ring, and Ernest is sort of laughing, he's sort of like, who's this little guy? Is he sort of not really towering over Architect, but he's kind of just looking down on him. He's obviously going to accept it because why wouldn't he? He doesn't see Architect as a threat or even really know much about him because he doesn't involve himself in all the little petty drama. But as he's going on about all this, he gets attacked by Giant Brody. And the episode basically ends with an all-out brawl between the three of them, with Ernest surprisingly holding his own as the security separate them. You know, the same kind of security you see in WWE where they're absolutely hopeless and can't really separate anyone. That kind of that kind of security. The show overall, even with the flubbed main event, it does really good, but I'm really, really annoyed about the poor rating for Ernest's gimmick. And Brett's new gimmick didn't even do much better, it's still inadequate. So that is really annoying. It's going to really, not really affect, but it will have an effect on his ratings. And yeah, there's not much I can do for the foreseeable on that. I'll just need to bite the bullet. But we'll finish the show. It still gets a 73. It's still very good. Ratings wise, we're going to give this to Mutant. His match wasn't amazing, but the unscripted angle is enough for me. We'll give it to Ant-Man for the same. And rating wise, we'll give it to... We did really good in-ring. Maybe he's worth... You know who we'll give it to? Hudson. He didn't really do amazing in-ring, but for that number one. He's in the number one contender spot. Just trying to mix it up. Oh, nice. Hudson was also pleased. That's a nice little boost to morale. Financial report. We're back on Wrestle World, of course, now. So 15 grand, 15,000 profit. We should take cap here, yep. We should hopefully go up to 49 as well. This month, go up 2 points, fingers crossed. So yeah, not a bad start here. We're going to jump straight in to the second show. There's kind of a lot going on backstage in terms of like people coming in, people coming out, and little bits and bobs. So, and also just to speed up the episodes, I think maybe we'll just not show the pre-show screen. It's not even really that big a deal. It's more for if any drama occurs, like any major drama. But I don't think we've ever had any in the 30, like I don't know, 34, 33 episodes we've done. So we're going to just jump straight in to our second kickoff Carnage show of the month. Alright, we're starting off the show pretty strong. It's the Vibe Tribe, excluding Stevie Stanley. But, pretty strong start. And we have a new face, not just joining the roster, but joining Vibe Tribe in New York City Wrestling's Hawkeye Calhoun. Someone I've had on my shortlist since pretty much day one. And I thought with his sort of baseball lover gimmick, he's quite good with comedy and things of that nature. Good on the mic. He's actually really good in the ring too. Only 30 years old as well. Unfortunately, he gets a poor. I swear I'm cursed when it comes to gimmicks. I cannot believe last show we got 2 fails on the gimmick idea changes. That's wild. He also debuts here with his baseball lover gimmick. The rating overall does really good. And it's just we want the funk. They're essentially just warming up the crowd. They aren't necessarily interviewing anyone today. It's more just one big party. Gets the crowd hotter. Show off to a strong start because they're actually in action next. They're opening the show in the traditional 3-verse-3. Losses hurt momentum more than usual for his cartoon gimmick. The poor, that's a shame. Anyway, 75 strong start, and then we'll see Hawkeye in his first match here teaming up with Stevie and Doc. His 2 strongest members, you could say, of the Vibe Tribe. And they do get the win here after they lost last week. Stevie and Doc, obviously, they lost to DeMarcus and Gray for the number 1 contender spot for the tag team titles, but they win tonight against Bowden, Aid, and Josh Jacobs when Stevie Stanley gets the pin on Aid with a swan dive senton bomb. Rating wise, this is really good actually. Hawkeye comes straight in with a 53, and he's not really over in the Great Lakes, so that says a lot. Doc also pulls in a 53, 47 from Stanley, and then mid to low 40s for the lower end jobbers. But considering these guys are all pretty much, I wouldn't say Doc, I was going to say these are all regarded as like low end guys. I mean that more on their in-ring ability rather than performance, because Doc, he's in like the mid-30s, he's a bit higher than the rest. Being like the sort of leader as well of Vibe Tribe, that makes sense, but a 54 segment rating's pretty good considering who we have in the match. I'll take it, to be honest. That's solid start. Gets a crowd hotter. Hawkeye Calhoun's already getting better at his gimmick. Yeah, good stuff. Bit of a shame on the poor rating for the gimmick itself, but he's going to be a good addition, I think, to the Vibe Tribe, which will help boost his popularity a little bit quicker, I think. And I think he can turn into a really good worker for the promotion. And next up, we get a 68, a solid. Marco and Blue Dragon, they have great chemistry, which helped. And it's Marco Gonzalez with a cheap win. You know, the Hispanic heat man himself. Any means necessary to get the job done. And he does today against Blue Dragon, 64 in-ring performance. Which is making me more and more excited to see how much I can kind of push Marco, or how far I can take him. It's kind of, like I always say, I love this game for the fact of its uncertainty. You know, you have one idea or you have something in mind for certain people on what you're going to do or how far they could potentially go, and then all the little spanners get thrown in the works and it never quite works out how you actually think, but in a good way. You know, it's always full of surprises on people overperforming and things of that nature. But good win for Marco. 68 rated match is really good, to be honest, considering who's in it. Keeps the momentum going strong for Marco too. And then after the match, as he's going up the back, we have Marco coming face to face with Architect, and Architect essentially is complimenting him. You know, he's saying, "Good job, kid. You know, keep up the good work. I like what you're doing." Essentially, Marco is a sort of very much a sleazeball like Architect, does anything to win. And Marco's kind of doesn't really show much expression, but he just kind of nods and sort of an appreciation, you could say, of the Architect. As you never really know. Even the heels don't necessarily trust Architect. No one necessarily really likes him because he's a bit of a egomaniac, always thinking about himself. But he seems to have his eyes on Marco, and we do know, of course, he's lacking. There's a big hole right now in the blueprint with only himself and Giant Brody after he kicked out almost prematurely. You could say he kicked out the Past Masters without even a second thought. 63 rating, though, pretty solid. Into a nice tag match, 60 rating here. The number one contenders, DeMarcus and Gray, get the win over Cobra and Jules with a snap tackle victory. DeMarcus pinning Jules Knight. Good ratings too. We're almost hitting into the 60s for DeMarcus and Gray. Hopefully this little run up to Brawl for All can give them a couple points boost to their popularity because they need it. They definitely need it. It'll help them with their in-ring performances too, because they're definitely not bad performers. I quite like them. Like I mentioned many times, we have a very healthy tag team division. Then, speaking of number one contenders, we have the main man Hudson. He beats the ever consistent Remy Honeyman. 60 rated match, or sorry, 60 rated performance from Hudson, 64 rated match. And as they're obviously doing their thing, Ant-Man's at ringside. He's watching the Great Lakes champ. He's watching his next challenger in action. And after the match, after Hudson wins, he gets out the ring and goes over to the announcer's table where Architect is, and it seems very, very calm and collective. You know, Hudson's someone who smiles a lot. He's always very smug, very confident. And the next minute, he just slaps Ant-Man right across the face, which enthralls into a huge battle between them both, where they both have to get separated. Their first real interaction, face to face, since Hudson was declared the number one contender, and it turns very sour very quick. As Hudson just lays down the law with a big slap to the face to Ant-Man as they both start punching and kicking each other. As Dawn, obviously, she comes out screaming at them for security, with all the security guards to separate it. Then another high flyer, Mutant, another huge win for him, keeping up that momentum from the season finale show, and he gets a win over California Love Machine. 67 rated match. Oh wow, I think the Marco and Blue Dragon match did even better than this, which is, wow, it's impressive actually. But Mutant gets the job done after, of course, last week he was calling out Dawn, essentially letting her know, where's his title shots. He's been here since day one. He deserves it more than anyone, and he's showing it more and more. He's on a nice roll right now, that's for sure. And then Papa Swole, he's back. The first time we've seen him since his loss to Hangman, and he's been told, that Hangman's nowhere to be seen. And as much as he's let everyone down, he thinks since obviously he lost Hangman, he doesn't really show any respect to Hangman because he basically doesn't. He thinks he doesn't deserve it, but he's all about the promotion and doing what's best for the promotion. Pap. He's a big baby face. He's a number one baby face. And as he's doing his little speech and talking about what's to come for the future and all of this, he gets interrupted by none other than former 21CW performer Landon Mallory. Of course, 21CW are like a massive company. So the idea, you would think in the game world, the idea of them shutting down is went worldwide, even if necessarily all the wrestlers aren't known worldwide. So when the music hits and Landon Mallory comes out, he gets a reaction because the fans know him, but they don't necessarily like him. If that makes sense. They just know of him. He is very huge in Europe and in the British Isles. Landon Mallory. He's actually someone. I think I did the series last TEW, and I ended up using him. He is actually really good. He's a bit older. When you put him in comparison to our roster, I think he's about 38, which is on 37. But he basically comes out and he's very good on the mic too. And he says, he's happy to be here in PWW. He's being portrayed as a face. And he basically said, he knows from the past that Papa Swole essentially likes to fight the new faces, give out opportunities like he did with Ant-Man, Tommy Cornell Jr. And he basically says, so where's mine? Where's mine? And they both of them kind of smile at each other, and Papa Swole kind of just nods, and then the next minute, the ref comes down. And on his debut, Landon Mallory pulls in a 71 against Papa Swole in a very, very close match. He does lose, though. Papa Swole does beat him by pinfall with the Boom Shakalaka. And just like Hawkeye Calhoun on his debut, Landon Mallory, who's not over at all, pulls in a 52-70 from Papa Swole. And thank the Lord, he gets a great rating on his South African Superman gimmick. Just like Hawkeye Calhoun, another huge signing for us, but it's kind of the first little trinklet of a couple guys. There's quite a few. I'm not going to lie. The 21CW invasion is well and truly in effect. Landon also has a hot move at the minute, which is good. Gives a large boost to charisma during matches and angles. Nice, thank God, Jesus Christ! It's about time we got a gimmick and gimmick ideas that just work. Thank the Lord. Because we're not having much luck this episode so far, but 71's huge. Then we have another huge backstage gimmick in the office. It's basically Dawn and Mutant going back and forth arguing. Not really arguing, more just having a heated debate. As Dawn basically announces, just like we did with Ant-Man, when he should essentially be next in line, and he had to wait a month. He basically is told, if you keep up your good performances, because I like you, Mutant, you're doing good things, you've been here since the start, everything you've been talking about and ranting about has been true. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. And quite frankly, I don't know why you haven't been getting more title shots in the 3 years or so, 4 years you've been here. So if you keep it up, after Brawl for All, which will be Bad Moon Rising, which is also essentially like a Halloween-esque hardcore themed annual event, which would suit Mutant to a T because he's very much known. His best traits in the ring is hardcore themed. So Don lets him know, if you keep things up, then that title shot at Bad Moon Rising is yours for the taking. 76 rated, really, really good. Into a good match here. 78 is the Architect. After his praising of Marco earlier in the show, he, just like Marco, cheats to get the job done against Austin Smooth. He wins. Very, very cheap victory. Which isn't to know. He basically after the win in pure Architect fashion, he essentially is mocking Austin, laughing at him at the fact he's beat him, as he pretty much does with anyone. He likes to let people know that he's better than them. We do have another change. We're changing Architect to a bit more of a scumbaggy gimmick from his easy money, which was adequate. If I change this gimmick and the idea fails and we get 3 fails in a row, I honestly might crash out already. Okay, surely it's going to get something better than adequate, right? Okay, great. With no pros or cons, I'll take it. You know what? Finally, oh my God, Jesus Christ, one of the gimmicks is changed for the better. as I obviously said, I'm trying to clean up momentum in gimmick ratings this month, and finally something sort of pulls, or something finally clicks, I guess, with all the pushing I've been doing on it. Good stuff. Good match too, 77 for Architect. Cheats to get the win. And then afterwards, Austin is in the back. Oh, he's also already getting better at his gimmick. Perfect. And he's talking to his tag team partner, Logan. And he's really obviously annoyed at the fact that Architect not just cheated to win, but was essentially rubbing in his face, you know. That's something people like Austin don't really stand for. And Logan lets him know that, you know, Logan also does not like Architect at all, as we know from the run ins before. And he just lets Austin know that not to worry too much. Architect's going to get what's coming to him. So don't, you know, just patience is key here, which is maybe a little bit of a foreshadowing. Maybe, maybe not. 64 though is really good, considering these two guys aren't amazing. Especially Austin, he's like not really good at all in performance. He's okay, to be fair. So 64, I'll take it. And then after, we have Logan fighting. He's main eventing tonight. More so we could use as a creative finish, and it works out perfect. 81 rated match against Tennessee Williams, and he gets the win over him too with the Boston Crab. First time we're seeing Tennessee since he lost his title. He pulls in a 69, 70 for Logan, but with the creative finish, we pull in an 81 to end the show. 79, our highest rated show ever. Wow. I believe did we not get rid of this? I swear we upgraded everything, so we didn't get any more penalties. Someone must have upgraded their music again and I forgot about it or not realised. I mean, one penalty is better than having four, so I'll maybe look to upgrading it, but I know it's going to be a lot of money, so we might just leave it if it's not really affecting the overall rating that much. But really good show, considering, you know, we have such a fat roster now, which is kind of good and bad. I'm trying not so much to worry about using everyone, because I physically can't. So people are kind of coming, if you've not noticed, people are kind of coming in and out every month, depending more like focused around the storylines, or the people who might be challenging next for the belts are getting used more. We're kind of just like churning the wheel at the minute. It's just the way it is. It's also important that we notice, even though we went through so many episodes, we're still small size. We're still not regarded a big company at all. So we're definitely shooting with ratings like 79 for a small company. We're definitely shooting above and beyond. So I'm not going to complain. Things are going great, to be honest. I think performance-wise, it has to go to Logan here, doesn't it, really? We'll give it to Logan. We will give it to Tennessee as well. Why not, for the big main event? And we'll also give it to... I'm tempted to do Austin, just for the fact that I'm happy his gimmick worked out. But Hawkeye also did pretty good, but his gimmick rating got poor. You know what? We're going to give it to Landon, actually. He did pretty solid for debut as well. It turns out telling them they're awesome, I think, increases the chance that they have a positive morale encounter from it, rather than anything else. Because usually we just praise them on their performances, which never works. But it seems to be telling them they're awesome, which must be regarded as like one of the highest praises you can give them through this segment, like this little piece. Yeah, let's see. Logan's just pleased, so that's nothing. Tennessee was very happy, so that's a bonus. Oh, and Landon was pleased, so that's as well, that's good. I'm pretty sure if it comes up they seemed pleased, that's nothing. That's like no good, no bad, but yeah, 2 out of 3 is like amazing. I'll take it. Obviously up to 1,700 people, so we make 22,000 profit. Our merchandise, by the way, has also gone up. So for more than half of this month, we'll be up to level 6, which hopefully gives us a nice boost on those merchandise sales for the quest of hitting 1 million. We also went up again. Obviously, it's the month we go up 2 pop, and it stays true to that consistency. We're up to 49 now in the Great Lakes. So we're 10 off. 10 popularity points off the Great Lakes. And at the minute with the Midwest, we're 6 away. Or 7 if you want to take Tri-State or Mid-Atlantic. So 10 more points in the Great Lakes and 6 more points in at least the Midwest to go up to medium, so being on Wrestle World is definitely going to get us over the edge easily. But here we go. Next up is our Go Home show before we hit Brawl for All. Okay, here we go. Go Home show time before Brawl for All. Brawl for All? All Out Brawl? Yeah, Brawl for All. I don't know why I forgot it there for a sec, but it's Anna Garcia. There's obviously a lot of talk, a lot of hype, a lot of rumbles with who and when these 21 CW superstars might pop up and emerge in PWW, with, of course, we saw Landon Mallory last week being the first, and Anna announces she has a new client, her first client, quote unquote, wink wink, nudge nudge. She definitely never managed Zap, wink wink. Yeah, she's been in talks with Don, the GM, and yeah, she's got her first ever client. As she then announces him to the ring to have his first ever match, 50 rated segment. It does the job, but Anna can definitely do a wee better than 58. She's just had a bit of an off day here by getting a bit of being penalised for not being scripted, but she definitely can do segments unscripted. She's just, she's not done a great job improvising here, but 58. And then we have it announced, her client, Conan Kruger, former United Kingdom champion and 21CW world champion. He's 27 years old, ripped, 6'5". The guy's a monster. Very, very good. Huge coup as well for us. And Anna doing some good work at ringside, witnesses a debut win for Conan Kruger and a domination over Aiden Nelson with the Evolutionizer. His next Evolution gimmick gets a great rating, which is really good. He was really off his game, so he only pulls in a 41. It'll be interesting to see how good he can do straight off the bat with no pop. Anna does some good work at ringside. Just adding Conan on his own dangerous enough. He's a huge guy, huge, big, ripped brute of a man. Very dangerous, very, very good in the ring. So with Anna pushing him by his side, it'll be interesting to see just how dangerous he can be. He gets a large boost to psychology during matches and charisma during matches and angles, and may receive a bonus when looked. Yeah, this is great. This is perfect. Couldn't have asked for any better for Conan. So very, very strong debut, gets the crowd hotter, and he picks up a debut win. Good stuff from Conan. Is Anna finally we get her a client with no penalties. That would have been really annoying. Imagine we got 2 for 2. Wow, that would have been just my luck, but luckily we're good. And then Don, the GM, sticking with the theme, we have another new face. Very good initial rating for the Yankee Poodle himself, Forrest Charmer. For anyone unfamiliar, Forrest is arguably, the game suggests, he's one of, if not the best ever graduate from 21CW. He's still quite young even at this point in the game. I think he's about 26, 25, and there's definitely a lot of room and potential. Is Dawn, obviously she's very excited to announce him as another new face in Prestige Worldwide. And he's in action next. And instead of doing our usual weekly 3 vs 3, we're pumping up the guns, and next up it's a 4v4, as we'll see the new man in action. Marketable gimmick too, may receive a bonus when made to look dominant. I mean, yep, the gimmicks tonight have been great. I'll take it. The match itself, though, he's in 4v4, gets a 59 rating. Decent wrestling. Not much heat. It's Bowden Forrest on his debut in Minnesota Awesome, beating Jack, Remy, and Hot Property, when Forrest Charmer himself gets the pin on Jack Holder with a lucky charm. Ratings wise, we're looking good. 51 as well from Forrest on his debut. Minnesota Awesome, they obviously never disappoint. They're the tag team of the year, so of course they don't. 67, 62, 53 from Remy. Jack's really lagging behind, as expected though, with Bowd and Snoop not far ahead of him. Low 40s for Hot Property. But yeah, not only one but two debut wins for this little. It's kind of like a little invasion of 21 CW. The only difference is, even though they're invading us, they're not necessarily going back to 21 CW. So a lot of new faces for sure coming in, a lot of buzz around the locker room, you could see. Then we got a 53 filler match here, giving a little boost to Kamikaze. 47 rating for him. Ash outperforms him with a 48, but it's a Kamikaze win. 53 rating, not too much more to add here. Good win for Kamikaze. Build up his momentum. As we then have another segment. Landon Mallory, of course. He got his debut facing Papa Swole last week, and he essentially comes to Papa backstage and says, you know, he's been booked in for a tag match or a potential tag match later, and he obviously wants to be in action as much as possible. You know, he's here to make a statement, and he asks Papa if he'll be his tag team partner tonight. You know, he's got a lot of respect for him. Before he even joined the company, he's seeing what he's doing, the work he's putting in, and you know, he can respect someone on the grind. And Papa, you know, they dab it up, shake it up, hug it out, and he says, you know, yeah, of course, I'll be your tag team partner. So of course, fighting each other last week and teaming up this week. 63 is pretty good. Landon underperformed. As we know, Papa does not like to work with a script. So Landon improvised pretty badly here. Bit unlucky, but 63 is still pretty solid. As we get a bit of a rematch here. Of course, the number one contenders got to be number one contenders by beating the Vibe Tribe, and they're up against each other again here tonight. But it's a rather similar outcome. This was really just it was only a match that kind of made sense, and I'm still trying to get DeMarcus and Gray over, so having them be put over by Dr. Funk here was the way forward going into the main event against LA Stars. Pretty solid ratings too. 55 for the dog, 48 for Stevie. Nate hits a 60. 56 for Tyrone, 63 match rating. DeMarcus and Gray are looking strong. They've got some good wins under their belt going into the tag match. Their first ever time challenging for the belts too. Then we got another very dangerous tag team in Young and Wasted. They're up next and they also get the win. No real surprise, they get the job done here when Brett Kyle pins Graham Gorman with the go home. And in terms of in-ring work, Taylor Norton was head and shoulders above everyone else. As much as it's something I don't necessarily want to do, especially anytime soon, Taylor Norton would be really, really good on his own too. He's one of those guys in a tag team that would be a very, very good singles worker. Yeah, he is really good. His personality's a little crappy when in terms of what's regarded as being negative. He's one of the few guys in the promotion who would be more likely than others to sort of kick up a fuss. But anyway, they get the win here. 65 rated match, 73 for Taylor Norton. Brett way behind on 62. Brett's not really being helped by the fact though his gimmick, we obviously tried to redo it and he's probably getting penalised for it at this point. Is he? Oh, he's not. Taylor Norton does have a legendary gimmick though, I did not know that. Okay, fair enough. Good stuff though. I actually really like Young and Wasted. They're actually a really good tag team. Then we got the face off, the big one. We didn't see much of them last week, but they're getting some last jabs and they're also up against each other tonight in tag team action. Obviously Architect really annoyed Austin Smooth by cheating him out. So Austin is teaming up tonight with Ernest, old buddies from PSW, to go up against Architect. It's essentially just some last words, some back and forth. It gets a really good rating too, 73. Ernest improvised well. Architect also improvised well. fairly generic in terms of what's being said. I'm not going to like do the voiceovers or whatever. We can. I think sometimes it's good for me not to sort of tell you like word for word what they're saying to each other, because obviously it's a fictional world. We are living in our own little bubble, so you guys can sort of interpret it however you think it would go. Given architects being, he's always up to something. He's always scheming, working on something, whereas Ernest is more bold and has full beliefs in his ability to get the job done. You know, he's really, really good and he knows it. So you can imagine, especially two heels going for the low blows here, verbally on the mic anyway, getting that main event match hyped up, which on paper should, if we don't get anything going wrong with it, it's very likely going to be our best match ever, because the two of them can pull in like mid to high 70s. Architects actually he hit 80 at the season finale, so we could be in for a real treat next week in the title match. And Ernest obviously going into this can't underestimate Architect. He's obviously on a huge high. He's had about 8 title defenses in a row. He's still the only world heavyweight champion we've ever had. So you can imagine at this point, maybe he's getting complacent. Who knows? Good match though, up here. Zach Powerson gets a very good win against the Historian with a press power slam. Historian seemed off his game but still gets a 57. Zap's up to 54. Zap's on fire too right now. He's just crushing everyone in his path, which is really good stuff. The momentum for him is going crazy. Good win though, 60 rated match. Oh, that's not good. A major concussion. Oh no. Okay. So Papaswol carried this match, and of course is Landon Mallory. After his debut lost to Papaswol, he's teaming up with him tonight, and they both get the win. Over the hot tags, Landon Mallory pins Calder Tag with a Springbok Ram. With a 69 rating, he carried the match. Landon hits 53, and the Tag brothers get 52-42. Landon, of course, benefits from a hot new move. The performance of Papaswol stood out as being good, but we do have a major concussion, which I don't know. I feel like there's a couple different levels of concussions you can get, and I think major, or is it extreme? I think major could be the worst. I am not 100% sure, but I think this is really, really bad. As in, Wolfie could be out of action for up to a year here, which could, if that's the case, this will probably be the end of the hot tags, honestly. I'll probably just renegotiate their contract and release them. If that's the case, maybe, hopefully no one botched though, that would be horrible. I don't think so. Landon and Papaswol are very much capable. Okay, yeah, we didn't get a notice, so that's very unlucky. Bit of a scary injury. As much as it feels bad to say, I'm really glad it's went to someone like Wolfie rather than Papaswol. That would have been horrible. But keeping the massive momentum train going, Mutant, after winning the triple threat against Davis, he faces him in 1v1 action, and he also gets the job done. Tina Turner pinfall finish. If there was any just sprinkle of doubt before, after his rant and his chat with Don about getting a shot of the belt, there's definitely absolutely none now. Creative finish, success. 68 from Davis, 64 from Mutant, but with the huge hype and momentum behind both of them, Mutant, he also has, of course, legendary gimmick. He gets a lot of extra bonus points. We pull in a 79 co-main event, which is huge, leading into the main event with, of course, the champ and the number one contender, which before, though, we have a face-off. After last week, Hudson, of course, slapping up Ant-Man, they face off again. Very, very tense, you could say. No fighting this time, more similar to Ernest and Architect earlier in the show. It's a bit more of a verbal back and forth. Hudson feeling a little bit embarrassed for Ant-Man that, he's He took all that extra work to get the belt. He needed not only just to win the Rumble, but he also needed a rematch after losing. You know how embarrassing. You go through all that work to win the first ever Crown and Glory Rumble, and you don't even take your chance to win the belt. And that's, he knows Ant Man well. They both, of course, work together in ACPW. And he says, there's the big difference between you, Ant Man, and me is that, whenever I get the opportunities, I'm going to take them. And I don't think you can dig as deep as I can, and do anything it takes to make sure you're coming away next week with the belt, whereas I will. I'll do whatever it takes. Advancing our storyline, gain seat. They all improvised really well here, 53, because I think it was. Well, actually, no, it couldn't have been scripted if they've improvised. 53 maybe seems a little low then, because these guys are not bad on the mic, but it's all worked out. No negatives. Then we go into the main event. Oh no. Superb Wrestling Goodie, The Architect, and Tennessee Williams. Of course, they teamed up at the Captain's Clash, Tennessee Williams and Architect. They actually also had Austin Smooth on their team, so that's funny now he's on the opposite sides of the playing field. But Tennessee does team up with Architect and they get the job done. They beat Austin and Ernest when Architect pins Ernest Youngman with a roll up after being distracted by Marco Gonzalez. So it's a very abrupt finish, but they get the job done. Really good in-ring performance ratings. I'm not sure what's going on with the segment rating here. But yeah, could this be leaning? Are we seeing a new member of the Blueprint and Marco Gonzalez? Of course, we know Architect's been complimenting him recently. He says he's been keeping an eye on him. Marco plays very similar to the Architect, and he does anything to win. The Hispanic heat himself, Viva La Raza, and all that good stuff. So it's not necessarily a clean win. It's not really Ernest losing clean like he did to Logan. It kind of is, but it's not. He's obviously got a bit more of a cheap win, but that's 2 run-ups to a title match in a row that Ernest has lost to his challenger, which must be playing on his mind. Storyline advances. 69 segment seems very unfair. Ernest was off his game, so he gets 68. Austin hits 68. 73 from Tennessee. That obviously run he had with the belt is doing him wonders, pushing him up the ladder. Architect hits an 80. Now, why on it? Why? I mean, maybe it's because of the finish, the distraction finish, but I feel like it doesn't warrant a 69. Surely. Segment rating was penalised due to the looks like gold storyline's low heat. Really? It's on. I didn't think that would be on low heat. There's no way. Although I very rarely check the dirt sheet, so that could be common. Like that could be something that's been happening quite a bit before, and I've just never really noticed. I'm really surprised we're not getting any penalisations for poor gimmicks. Oh, we are. Yeah, we are. Never mind. Ernest got penalised for his physical condition. That's not really anything to worry about. Inconsistency and poor gimmick. Okay. This is also something to warn here is the fact we haven't saw Giant Brody pretty much all month because his touring with Japan is becoming a bit of a joke. It's starting to actually annoy me, if I'm being honest. So he's never available. But Architect, it just shows the strength as much as he is a bit of a slime ball. And he uses people like pawns at times. It just shows even on his own he's like so good. He's like so dangerous. Obviously he enlists the help of Marco tonight to get the job done, but those big huge powerhouse guys that he seems to always have by his side isn't always necessarily needed. Increase in 7 regions, which I take it's everywhere but the Great Lakes. We still get a 74. We actually get saved by Mutant and Davis Wayne Newton, to be honest. Yeah, they actually save us big time because we used a lot more of the lower to mid card on this show. And there's like 5 matches here before, actually probably even 6 you could say, before we get into the major stars. So 74's pretty solid. I'll take it. Addressing the locker room. Who can we give it to mix it up? We'll give it to Forrest. He did a pretty good debut. Yeah, Forrest Charmer. We'll also give it to Conan Kruger. I'm really happy I managed to get these guys from 21 CW. They're all pretty solid workers that can add a lot. I think I don't really have plans for them in the sense of how far I want to push them or what I want them to do. I think I'm going to let fate just play out by seeing how quick they progress, their in-ring performances, little things like that, and just see what happens. I try not think too far in advance, if I'm being honest. I think that for me, that's the best way to play. The people who plan like years ahead, shows and shows ahead, and have spreadsheets on spreadsheets and things like that. I get it's like a fun way to play and really sort of immerse yourself in the game and in your little like world that you have going on, but it's just not the way I like to play. Seemed pleased, was pleased. Okay, Zap gets a nice bonus from that. So injury review, yeah, he's oh my god, he's out. He's done. That is yeah, it's pretty brutal. We've only ever had two injuries, and it was Sasquatch, who was out for a year, and now we have Wolfie, who's out. This won't hurt us too much though, because our tag team division's kind of stacked, if I'm being honest. Um, and Wolfie and Calder were probably never going to be someone I would be looking to push anytime soon, if I'm being honest. They're more used as a stepping stone for other people. But obviously it's a bit of a shame he's got injured, but yeah. I think that'll be the last time we see them. I'll definitely be renegotiating to end their contracts for the time being. We make another 20 grand, which is really good. Popularity, of course, we're maxed out on most of America. We take a little bit in Canada, but nothing crazy. But anyway, yeah, we're done. It's been considering there was so much angles, so much going on last month. It seems like a very very tame month. You know, the month after our season finale, which is fine. I won't complain. It's just how it goes. It's important to remember we're still small size. There's still so much to go through, so much advancing and growing to be done, which I'm obviously looking forward to. We already have a pretty big roster with a lot of like people I'm excited to use and see what we can do with them for sure. I think I might, when we hit medium, I might introduce another belt, if I'm being honest, but I just don't know what it will be. If it'll be maybe another mid carder belt similar to the Great Lakes, but maybe we kind of move it in a slightly different direction. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the Brawl for All show here. Alright, here we go, it's showtime. Brawl for All in front of record breaking 3,600 people. We're starting off going straight in to our 3 vs 3, which really is turning into. I kind of made the joke before a couple of times about it being like a weekly thing, but at this point now it really is like a cemented part of the shows to showcase some of the mid card to non recognizable guys. It does the job, which the only thing we ever look for here is to get the crowd hotter and show off to a strong start, so we can tick all those boxes. And in a decent wrestling but little heat, Jack Holder and Top Property beat Bowden Snoop and Cobra and Jills when Byron Holland pinned Bowden Snoop with a sweetener. Really nice name actually for a finisher. Rating wise, for these kind of guys, we're looking for over 40 at the minute's acceptable. So Jack, of course, he's very green. He gets the 33. Obviously, he takes the fall. No, he doesn't. Sorry, it's Bowden. I'm getting the bits mixed up. Sorry. Two low 50s for Jules and Cobra, as pretty much expected from those guys. They are pretty decent. We're trying to slowly just build these guys up. So the fact they're on this kind of card in front of all these people will be really good as well. 54 segment rating to start us off is also very solid. As we then jump into a little bit of a returning past masters, we haven't saw them in quite a while. especially teaming up together. We haven't saw Sandman Wink since his loss to the Architect. But they get the job done here. Really good ratings actually overall. Even the Vibe Tribe gets over. Funk hits a 56, which is really good. That's really encouraging as well for me in terms of pushing him potentially. Stevie gets a 51. The creative finish we had for Sandman Winks was a success, which then obviously means in turn, as you can see here, the past masters get the win. Sandman Winks submits Stevie Stanley with a deep sleep, pulls in a 67, 61 for Historian. We also have Sandman Winks scheduled here for my gimmick change. We obviously did Brett Kyle, which failed. We did Ernest, which failed. And Sandman Winks was the third, but we obviously haven't seen him in action, so we've been waiting a bit. We're keeping him with the Sandman gimmick. He currently is on adequate, so the gimmick change itself was a success. So we got 1 out of 3, which isn't great odds, but let's hope it's got at least good. It got very good. Okay, perfect. Wins and losses have a greater impact on popularity. Okay, I'll take it. Good gimmick. And obviously they get the 169 segment rating. So, you know, it just shows you the past masters are definitely still a force, even not in the blueprint. But good ratings overall, even for Vibe Tribe, this was good. Up next, we have Conan. He's back. You know, he made his debut emphatically under the helpful eye of Anna Garcia. And it's another one-sided smash and grab, basically, for Conan, beating up Ash Barney. Or Ash Barnaby, sorry, we should say, with the Evolutionizer in under 8 minutes. Yeah, it's basically just a very one-sided demolition job. 52 rating for Conan. We'll be boosting him up. It'll be nice for him to rub off with Anna, especially in these sort of segments here. She's basically just doing a promo, hyping up her client, hyping up, you know, getting a bit of a buzz around him. 69 rating, very good. Benefits from a hot catchphrase. So this is all good stuff. Getting a lot of eyes on Conan as well. Then we have the Blueprint, or 2 members of the Blueprint, with a new face, of course. Marco recently has joined the Dark Arts, you could say, joining Architect and Giant Brody. And they get the win here over Josh and Remy when Giant Brody pins Remy. Single-handed chokeslam, 58 segment rating, pretty decent. Marco hits a 59. Remy's up with a 51, 53 from Giant Brody, which is pretty good. Overall, this isn't bad. Getting the momentum on Blueprint side is, of course, the leader of the Blueprint. He's main eventing tonight, and you already know that Marco and Giant Brody are going to have some sort of say in the matches. The Blueprint always does. You know, they win by essentially playing a numbers game against everyone. Then you already know Architect's going to have some sort of plan in mind to involve those guys to get anything he can do to get the upper hand over Ernest Youngman, the champ. Oh, huge match here. This was more of a filler match, but yeah, no surprise. It brings in a huge rating. Smooth and Wolfsbane actually beat Minnesota Awesome as well to really put the eyes on them for potentially being next in line for a title match. You know, Smooth and Wolfsbane don't really team up a lot, but when they do, you know, it's a real force to be reckoned with. Obviously, old buddies from back in PSW time. Austin Smooth gets the pin on Clark Smallbone. This wasn't even a creative finish either. 79. Logan Wolfsbane pulls in a 75, 69 for both members of Minnesota Awesome. You know what I'm thinking about already? Which is very random because we're only in September, but I'm really curious as to who is going to win our Tag Team of the Year. Because I really thought it would have been LA Stars last year, but it ended up being Minnesota Awesome. So it's going to be crazy because you got like the Smooth and Willsbane who might be able to qualify by the end. You got Minnesota Awesome again, LA Stars. I don't really know if Young and Wasted, maybe not. They do pull in good ratings, but they're a little bit behind. But really good stuff here. 79. Solid match rating, which will help with the overall show rating too, which hopefully we can do good stuff there. Then the first of 3 title fights. great wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. Ant-Man defeats Hudson Drake by pinfall with an antidote, making defense #1 of his Great Lakes champion title. Really good stuff. Creative finish was a success. We advanced the storyline. Bit of a shame. Hudson Drake was really off his game. Otherwise, this would probably have gone into the 70s easily. But he only manages to pull a 48, but the 70 from the champ, making a very dominant and successful first defense. Really good stuff. 69 isn't actually that bad. I'll take it considering. So the first challenger in Hudson Drake has been crushed down by the Ant-Man. And we got title match #2, which definitely does not disappoint, as they never do. And it's decent reaction from the crowd. Superb wrestling. LA Stars defeat DeMarcus and Gray when LA Star 1 pinned Tyrone Gray with a Star Destroyer, making defense #3. Now, this is also worth noting right now. LA Stars are the third people, or the third tag team, sorry, to hold the tag team titles. Before them was the Past Masters, and before them was Hangman and Blue Dragon, and both past title holders defended the belt only 3 times. So LA Stars have a chance to go into the history books. If they defend the belt successfully one more time, they already are the tag team that hold the most defenses. And it'll be a case of how long they can keep that going. They're going to be hard to beat, that's for sure. And obviously, that's something we all know. A bit of a buzz around that. Creative finish was a success. 81 and 77 they pull in. Tyrone Gray with a 61, 58 for Nate DeMarcus. Not too bad. We're almost getting these guys into the 60s. We'll put them roughly in the same bracket as Young and Wasted. So, as much as it was kind of, I mean, if you had to kind of guess the booking, it was obvious that DeMarcus and Gray weren't, like, they're not going to beat LA Stars, but I feel like this little boost to them this month will really help going forward. But as we have them celebrating, though, the LA Stars, the lights go off, and then when they come back on, both of them are on the ground, and in the ring, in front of them, is Mark Adonis and Mass Hulk, who both make their debut from 21 CW. The invasion is well and truly on. One of the best, most dominant tag teams. 2 really, really, really strong, really good competitors. And not only do they debut, but they make an absolute statement by taking out the tag team champs. We get a very good initial rating for Mass Hulk Monster gimmick, and Mark Adonis debuts his God's Gift gimmick. So these guys, they're arrogant. They don't care. They don't play by the rules. Absolute scumbags. Super big-headed. Everything that would make you hate someone, these 2 guys have it. They have it all going on. They got the charisma, the star presence. Mark Adonis is very good on the mic. It's a solid tag team. Just talking about how healthy the tag team division is, the fact we're adding in Mark and Mass is wild. Like, it's crazy. It's going to be another huge competitors, and they've started out with an absolute smash hit grab here, going straight for the throat of the champs, and successfully doing so. Lost some momentum, but gives a large boost to microphone skill. That's good because Mark is very good on the mic. A large boost to microphone skill. Okay, this is good. This is good. The debuts tonight are actually looking good. Sandman Wink's gimmick change worked out, and these 2 guys obviously debuting has worked out. So this is nice. Some really good additions this month through 21 CW closing down, which is obviously a bit of a shame, but we get to suck up a bunch of those guys though, which is really good. 43 rating isn't horrible either, to be honest. So I'll take it. They obviously make a huge statement here. I actually don't remember what their tag team's called, which is really bad. I thought it would pop up, but it didn't. But they are like a very experienced team. I think they're 3 or 4-time 21 CW tag team champions as well. They're also very good on their own. They are good. They're solid addition. I'm excited to embrace them into our tag team division. As we then have the man himself, the ex-champ, Tennessee Williams, makes his elaborate entrance, singing his songs, doing his thing, because he's in action tonight in the co-main event. More of just a filler match, similar to Logan and Austin against Minnesota Awesome, and it does the job, to be honest. Tennessee Williams gets a 77 in-ring rating. Wow, his run with the Great Lakes Championship really has just put him into that next level. He gets the win here against California Love Machine, who should be leaving soon. Um, but yeah, this is a huge win for Tennessee too in terms of pop. California Love Machine's way over him, so this is a big upset win. So Tennessee obviously hitting a low by losing his belt, but this is a huge upside for him to get him back on crazy good momentum. 76 rated match. I can't believe he got a 77. That's crazy, and that's with California Love Machine really off his game. So Tennessee carries it. Ant-Man also, even though the Great Lakes match only got 69, the fact that Hudson Drake was off his game and it still got a 69 with Ant-Man, he actually carried that pretty well. So this is really good. Really, really good stuff. And then next up, last but not least, definitely not least, I think our highest rated ever match is 82. There's quite a few we've had on 82, maybe 83. So I'm hoping it hits at least 80, but it's a lot to ask for. But it is Ernest and Architect in a title match with a near certainty creative finish, sorry. And I did not put it on All Out show, so we wouldn't get the penalty. So if it all worked out and no one was off their game or whatever, hopefully. Okay. Um, I swear Ernest against Logan last month also got a 69, and when they fought before that, it was a 69. Anyway, Superb Wrestling, great heat. Ernest Youngman, he beats Architect by pinfall with the hit. And it's mainly because the match turned out into like an all-out riot, as expected. Marco Gonzalez and Giant Brody was at ringside to help out Ernest, or to help Architect, sorry. But then as the going got tough and it seemed like Architect was going to do it, obviously with Ernest completely outnumbered, Ernest's old buddy, and I mean old buddy because he's also his biggest rival, Logan, attacked Aldred, and also Austin Smooth also attacked him. Ernest Youngman gets the win with some extra help to even the odds, making defense number 8. Great ratings as well, by the way. A great finish. I don't know why this got so bad. Because there's no way if the creative finish was a success would this have gave us like a +10. So I don't know if the rating was going to be that great anyway. I think honestly having the poor rating on Ernest's gimmick might be also having a bit of an effect. Not huge, but yeah. This is a bit of a disappointment. This should have the tables were set for this match to easily get like an 80 plus segment. So the fact it's like not even hit 70 is it's a little stinky. But we end the show with essentially the crowning or founding, you could say, of the Steel Circle. The stable is now here in PWW. For anyone unfamiliar, Ernest Youngman, Logan Wolfsbane, and the tag team of Jake Idle and Jackpot Jordan in PSW founded the Steel Circle faction stable. And then it turned into a 3-man team when Logan turned face and started feuding with Ernest. So they were essentially buddies at one time. And obviously we know they have a lot of respect for each other. And if there's one person Logan, especially Logan, and now Austin, they hate more than Ernest, if you could say that, it would be Architect. So, Architect this whole month, he's poked and poked and poked at Ernest. And rather than it working and playing the numbers game on Ernest and having it work in his favour, it's backfired to now be even worse, to the point where Ernest on his own was already so hard to overcome, but now he has Austin Smooth and Logan Wolfsbane by his side, with the Steel Circle being brought back to life, not in PSW but here. at Prestige Worldwide. 78 rating. Honestly, after that performance, I'll take it. LA Stars, really our tag matches um, carried us big time. The actual overall rating of the matches weren't too bad. You know, we got a 69 there, 69 there, 67, another 69. So 78, I'll take it, to be honest. We did just give Tennessee praise not too long ago, so we'll maybe avoid him. We'll give it to Ant-Man. Although Tennessee got a 77, didn't he? I think maybe we should. He deserves it to be told he's awesome again, honestly. It's really annoying because Ernest and Architect got really good in-ring ratings, just over the mid 70 mark. You know what? It has to be. It has to go to the champs, man. If these guys don't win Tag Team of the Year, I don't know what the game's smoking. Although one thing we obviously do, if you're maybe not familiar, or maybe you are, is whoever wins our end of year awards, they actually get a title shot. But we've never actually had it where the person who doesn't have the belt has won, or the person who has the belt has won. I think LA Stars could be the first if they win Tag Team of the Year, and obviously if they still have the belt, that is. Happy. Oh, LA Star one was very happy. That's good. So we got one change. We make almost 40,000 in ticket sales, 47,000 profit from one. Wow, okay. I don't know if we're getting to the point now where being in the consortium is essentially holding us back. I don't think it will, but it'll be interesting regardless, especially with the merchandise going up this month. It'll be interesting to see how much money, or how the finances look at the start of next month, sorry, I should say. But anyway, we're going to call it here. No title changes, but a lot of advancements for the likes of DeMarcus and Gray, pulling them up. Tennessee Williams doesn't even seem to be affected at all after losing his belt. Ant-Man makes defense number one. LA Stars absolutely killing it. Ernest is just doing Ernest things right now. He's usually delivers some way or another, but it wasn't to be on tonight's card against Architect. And with Architect obviously going back and forth with him pushing his buttons, we now have the Steel Circle in PWW, which, yeah, it's going to blow everything wide open, as well as Mark Adonis and Mass Hulk with their eyes. It looks like they've got their eyes on the prize. They're not messing around. They're obviously not really known in America, but they're going straight for the throat, and rightly so. But anyway, another pretty good episode. This was a good one. I had fun booking it, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Make sure, if you ever have any thoughts, opinions, people to sign or to look out for, people you think should be pushed, or even if you guys are playing local to global, let me know how your games are going. I always like to know where other people are at in their game, especially if they're a couple of years in. Yeah, just drop a comment, let me know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.